The hardware industry today does exactly this. They sell you a track-ready supercar, make you pay for the engine up front, and hand you the keys, but without giving you a steering wheel or even the tarmac to race on. On one end, we have $1,000 GPUs. On the other, 4K 240Hz OLED monitors that feel like they came from the future, all connected by the promise of DisplayPort 2.1, a pure 80 gigabit per second data highway. Then you get home, mount your screens on a monitor arm, and everything collapses. Black screens, flickering, visual degradation. Why? Because manufacturers forgot to tell you that the only component capable of linking these two hardware monsters practically doesn't exist on the mass market. Today, we are dissecting the biggest technological bottleneck of the decade and dismantling the high-speed cable commercial scam. Welcome to the Layer 1 disaster. At 80 gigabytes per second, copper cables face extreme skin effect and dielectric losses. This causes severe signal attenuation that renders passive transmission physically unstable beyond 1.5 to 2 meters. To maintain the integrity of an 80 gigabyte per second signal, the backbone of DisplayPort 2.1, the industry must rely on active copper cables, ACC, or transmission entirely to active optical cables, AOC. At high frequencies, current is forced to travel only along the outer edge of the copper wire. This reduces the effective conductor cross-section, causing resistance to spike and the signal to degrade non-linearly. A standard high-speed signal often requires 20 decibel to 30 decibel of compensation over just a 2-meter span to remain intelligible to the receiver. The insulation surrounding the copper core absorbs electromagnetic energy from the signal, converting it into heat and further weakening the data stream. True 80 GB per second passive copper cables are physically limited to short runs of roughly 1 to 2 meters. Attempting longer passive runs inevitably leads to visual artifacts, intermittent flickering, or complete loss of signal. These integrate semiconductor equalizers and retimers into the connector to clean and boost the signal, extending the reliable range slightly beyond the passive threshold. For runs exceeding 3 meters, electrical signal are converted into light via fiber optic cores. This bypasses copper resistance entirely, allowing for long-distance transmission without signal decay. Wire gauge, equalization, pre-emphasis, and display string compressor are the only tools engineers have to fight the physical limits of copper at these frequencies. If you check the major marketplaces, you will find a sea of 80 GB per second cables. They are marketed with aggressive keywords, 16K, 240 Hz, and 80 GB per second in bold neon letters. But here is the technical reality. Most of these products are a fraud. When you look past the nylon braiding and the gold plate marketing, you often find a basic passive cable designed for much lower standards. These manufacturers are exploiting the ambiguity of VESA's certification process. They know the average user won't cross-reference their product code against the official VESA database. Here is the test. Search for these cables on the official VESA website. Most of the premium brands you see in the top results simply don't exist in the database. When you plug one of these into a 80 GB per second setup, you aren't getting 80 GB per second. You are getting a forced downgrade. Your GPUs sensing too many CRC errors in the data packets will automatically throttle the signal or force the display stream compression to take over just to maintain a stable image. You are paying for a Ferrari engine, but the cable is a garden hose. You end up troubleshooting your display, your driver, or your GPU settings when the real culprit is a piece of copper that never stood a chance at these frequencies. So, why does this matter to you? Because you are paying for the 80 gigabits experience, but you are getting a headache. The real cost isn't just the price of a premium cable. It's the hours spent troubleshooting. You will swap your GPU drivers. You will reset your BIOS. You will reconfigure your entire display chain all while assuming the cable is the one thing that just works. It's the ultimate gaslighting of the tech industry. They blame the user setup when the reality is that the cable you bought simply couldn't handle the physics of its own marketing. If you are running a dual monitor setup in daisy chain, the stakes are even higher. The multi-stream transport protocol is unforgiving. If the link between your GPU and your first monitor is even slightly compromised, the error correction kicks in. Your bandwidth gets throttled, and the stunning 240Hz OLED performance you paid for is gone. You are left with a compressed, jittery image. My advice? Stop chasing the 80 GB per second sticker. Embrace the DSC or look for genuine industrial-grade active cables if you absolutely must bridge that distance. Don't let a €20 piece of copper turn your dream workstation into a troubleshooting nightmare. The industry is selling a future that current supply chain can't yet support. Build for stability, not for the marketing buzzwords. So, here is the reality. The industry is selling us hardware that our current infrastructure cannot support. We are chasing the 80 gigabit dream with cables that belong in the era to 1080p. Before you spend another euro on a certified cable that promises the moon, stop. Check the VESA database. Verify the certification, and if you can't find a viable path to 80 gigabits per second, don't be afraid of the DSC. It's better to have a perfectly stable compressed image than a flagship monitor that flickers because it's starving for data. Industry will keep pushing the numbers, but the numbers don't lie. Only the marketing does. I'm not here to tell you what to buy. I'm here to tell you how the system actually works. This is the Layer 1 disaster, and we are just getting started. End of story.